Okay. I think I figured it out. Please tell me if I have.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. That was wasn't that frustrating? So I'm going to take the sorry off the screen. Hang on. Right. So that was a bit. So I was doing some work earlier, and I had to do some OBS stuff. And I had to monitor and mute my output because I needed to test what the audio sounded like and monitor it, but I didn't want to stream it across to the thing that I was streaming to. Anyway, I forgot to unclick that option. Sorry about that, everyone. Hello. I'm going to attempt to go back. Oh, so you must have seen me like falling to pieces there in front of you all. I was getting very unhappy about the situation, fairly crestfallen, and worrying that it was just going to be a write-off. Anyway, I can see Aisy's here, Julian Alette, we've got Sean Stewart, Johnny's here, yes, Sears here, Andy Mouse, Dave Darko, Brian Luff, who is in fact doing a stream in 50 minutes. Don't worry, this one won't last too long. And then you can go and dive on his stream. We've got Roma Czech and Dean Potts, Kurt Wilson. I won't go through everyone. The Conan Rider, Mark Garth, SDD Electronics, who's very helpful, and I saw someone else who's very helpful. I'm scrolling down, I'm going to miss some people. David S is there, the Embedded Hobbyist, hello, Maiko's here. Torsten, Bit Looney, hey dude. Sorry you had to come along to one that wasn't really working very well. I definitely saw him here somewhere. Hang on a minute. Andy Archer's here, hello. And Marcel. Mr. Tom, Henrik's here, Christos, Eric's here from Me Lab or MK Me Lab, David Boyd, Whisker, Gerald's here, Paul Target, God, where's this list going? Lassie, there you are, you helped a lot, thank you. Mark Garth is also here, Crazy Roots, Torsten, Practic, Andy Day, and probably loads of others. Gary Rivet's here as well. Well, this has been a mammoth sort of thing, and I'm having a celebratory beer, if that gives it away. It's taken ages to pour this thing, and I've put too much head in it, so oh god, look at this. Okay, whatever. Brian says my hair's too nice for DIY. Well, it is just a DIY cut, just using my beard clippers. Well, anyway, I've got something to show you. We're going to go down to the bench now. That is this. This is the thing, the clock. And some progress has been made. In fact, it works. So it starts up randomly, but reset now works. And start stop works. So does incrementing the hours and the minutes, and it no longer resets the preceding number. Display on off also works. Reset does work, and I'll explain why that now works when I turn the board over, but I want to show you the actual functions of this thing. So if I jump over on here to 24, you can see that it resets. So my 4073, which is the triple input AND gate, is doing its job. So once it goes over to 24, it goes to 0. Similarly, this will carry over on here. So if I take this up to 59, and the head of this beer will have gone down by then. And throw this, oh, it does still reset that. Oh, God. every time I find an issue. Anyway, what I wanted to do was go to... Oh, it's going to reset. I want to go to... Okay, so there's one issue there. That's a missing diode, and I'll show you those in a minute. So I go to 23, and I'm going to take this up to 59. Looney asks, can there be a strange condition when carry and manual increment happening at the same time? Yeah, so that's why, really, if you were going to set a time, you'd just stop the clock. But if I start it again and we let it carry over, you'll see that it actually does cascade all the way down. And Johnny says, okay, everything works, live stream is over, bye all. It's not everything works, sadly. There's one other thing, and there are some issues. And in the last stream, by, 3 hours in, basically everyone in the chat figured out what was wrong, and I was right at the end of my tether. So there we go, it's rolled over. I was basically at the end of my tether, and you guys had all figured it out. So after work today at 5:15, I clocked off and jumped straight into looking at the schematic and trying to figure out what was going on. And lots of you sort of gave me some clues in the last stream. And I said, look, if you want to write a comment, I'm finding this really hard to follow, because I was quite tired, and I'm trying to do a stream as well as troubleshoot, and I was getting a bit, on the edge. So I said, if you want to comment, you can do. But I sort of thought about the comments that you left and figured out what you were all talking about. Like, some of you mentioned one bit and another person mentioned another bit, and someone mentioned an open collector. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know what that was, but looked it up. I was like, oh, I get it now. So I totally understand. And essentially my reset line was commoned, not through everything. There were diodes on the reset line. I thought about it. But my 4073, which is the triple input AND gate, had on a couple of the outputs free run of the reset line and could just do anything it liked with it. And when it says that it's an open collector, essentially what it means is it connects to ground, connects to the IC ground on that output. And it's not just a high and then, high impedance output or whatever, so it's not going to do anything. It goes to ground. And so it was pulling my reset line. Whenever I wanted to throw that high to reset, it was just not having any of it. And that's why I saw that 1 volt on the reset line. It was just dropping it so much because it was sinking it to ground. So I went through and carefully got this knife and I cut every trace that was coming from the 4073 going to my reset line. I also had to do that for the touch ICs, and obviously I've missed one because the hours incrementing should not reset the minutes. So that reset line coupled with the increment line is still connected. So I need to go in there and cut that. But let's have a look at the board, the bottom of the board, so you can see what a mess it's in. We might have to unplug it because I can't turn that around with it in. So, look at that. So I've had to include lots of diodes. I've no idea what kind of diodes these are because I can't read the symbols on them because they're too small, but I've basically created a little, like, what is that thing with, like a bowl's kind of pitch of these diodes. So basically, I've now had to isolate each one of my reset lines and the clock lines. So each individual one needs a pull down resistor, like a 10k to ground or whatever, so that they have that local pull down, because I'm isolating them from the rest of the reset net or bus or whatever you want to call it. So this is what we achieved last time, was this kind of horrible mess of 4073. And so I had to lift that IC up onto its side so that I could put some pillars down to the tracks, because I'd selected a SOT, well, not SOT, sorry, an SIOC, what the hell is it? SOIC 16 when it's actually an SOI 14. And so we had to do this weird pillar thing where I sort of lift it up so that I got access to the pads beneath and can shift the pins along. So it's pretty crazy. Like, that's kind of like quite small that I had to do it. That's my, so it took a while, and I've had to cut tracks at various places. So let's see if I can find a few. So just there is a cut trace. Just there is a cut trace. Got another cut trace here. Got another cut trace here. Over here. Just there. And somewhere else, I think, that I can't see right now. Oh, just there. So I had to cut lots and lots of the lines and connect them with diodes. So I had to look at my schematic and go through and figure out where I'm sort of bleeding off to ground on my reset line. So it does now work, thankfully, but we do have one thing on the minutes line, which is this one here. So this one's incrementing, oh, so it's the hours, it's incrementing the minutes. But that's also connected to the reset of this minutes here. So I'm gonna have to cut some more tracks, it seems. I should have done that a bit better. So let me jump back to the chat. I told you this is going to be a short one because we're not really doing much today. I just wanted to, because you guys had spent so much time watching, and honestly, I would not have been able to do it without you all. So I just wanted to sort of say thank you, really. Paul says, looks perfect, ship it. Marcel van den Broek, I don't know how to say that. Diode or gate? I'm not sure if you're talking to me or not, actually. Is this the cheap Chinese version? I mean, it would actually, I only need to make one more bodge and that will work. And my absolute favourite thing about it is the back of the LEDs, honestly. That was, that's like my favourite thing we found out, that looks really cool as it is. Like, just as a weird feature. Like, it's like, someone said it looked like the Predator language, and I think I agree. Did someone say, oh, Alex is here. Hey, Alex. Definitely worse things have been shipped on Kickstarter. Do you know, I think I've seen worse things on Tindy, certainly. Now, Maiko says recreating KiCad. Yeah, I will do. I'm fairly tired this week, though, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of time off to do it. But I have started, so if I jump to the desktop, I can show you that I've started. There we go. So I started putting the diodes in where they're meant to be. So adding them in, but I haven't actually routed them in because I need this as a reference to troubleshoot. So this is still version 1. So I'll go into version 3 that I created and change that. So, I mean, we can just go through a little history of every mistake I've made on this board, if you like. So the clock was wrong. Sorry, I don't know what's jumping around. The clock was wrong. Like, very wrong. There's a missing trace there as well. So both of those resistors I have now changed, and an extra wire's been put in over here. There are no diodes on these TTP223s. Now, like, the biggest problem really was that doesn't exist on my breadboard. So, you know, when I was trying to figure that out, sorry, I need to bring the streaming window back up, but it's going to be on that desktop, so I've got to bring it over here. And now you get a picture. Can I have that back? There we go. Put it on the desktop, please. I thought I had a shortcut connected. No, I don't. There we go. I don't have a shortcut key. So there are no diodes on these. And these are buttons, physical buttons in my breadboard. So it's not like an open collector. So like it's on or it's off. It's connected or it's not connected. So I didn't think about that when I did this. So when I said I was recreating my breadboard, it's not quite true. These devices aren't on my breadboard. I have buttons. So I didn't think about it. So those are ruined, but I can add a diode in and it'll be fine. So I don't need the pull downs because they're going to be local, but I do need to add diodes in. Now some of them have local diodes, local pull down resistors, and so I do need to do that and bring those into each one of these things. What else did I make a mistake on? Where is it? This. Somehow a ground connection for this whole 7 segment. SDG Electronics picked that one up, was not connected. It's still not going to be connected in this one because I need it to be a mistake. So yeah, that's a problem. Minutes and hours again didn't have diodes, so I popped one there. Let's copy and paste that one over there so we know it goes in. And that's about it, I think. Those were the errors that I had. So I will be changing it. So these boards are basically junk to me now. So if anybody wants to do, you'll have to buy all the parts and I can send you what I bought. But I'm happy to post out a board or two to people. I'm not going to post out all like 9 of them, but I'll post a couple out if anyone's really interesting. Really interesting? Interested is what I meant to say. I've only had like a sip of this. Someone said a joke. Oh, I've seen worse things on Tinder. Brilliant. I think I might have done too. Does V3 have a battery backup? No, but I wanted to talk to you about something that I'd thought about. I can expose the hours and the minutes increment and the reset button and probably start and stop. And well, I could probably expose all of those touchpads as normal pads on the back. So if someone wanted to modify it with an internet connected microcontroller to set the time once a day or something, then I could make that possible. But I don't intend on having a battery backup. It wouldn't take a lot to run it if you turn the display off though. So the current draw is minimal if you turn the display off. So it's possible to have a battery backup. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have a think about it. If you think it's a really good idea, then I'll look at it. If you remake the board, could you make the tracks in a contrasting color? You know, that's kind of something I thought about before, was putting, like duplicating my track layer and making it a silkscreen layer so that you could literally see where every track was on the surface. And I thought that might look quite interesting on the front layer because there are a lot of tracks running around there. But I haven't done it yet, but you can definitely do that in KiCad if you want. You can duplicate that layer and rename it in the text. So you can open it as a text file and just do it. So it could be interesting just to overlay the silk screen on that. Andy says, HAL open the bay doors. Is that a reference to that HAL project I've not finished that I could pick up now, I guess? So basically, that's it. That's all this stream is me saying, there you go, it's done. And thank you, because you guys honestly helped me out. I think I probably would have struggled with that for quite some time if people hadn't said, look, you've not connected ground on your 7-segment display, or, well, you've got open collectors in your circuit. You need to figure out what to do with that. And basically, diodes and resistors are going to be my salvation by completely isolating the reset line, the reset net from all these other things. It's a bit loony talking about his big displays. Yeah, Embedded Hobbyist. I don't think it did pick that up, honestly. Unless I messed something up after I'd done the giant. It's possible I messed it up after I'd done the design rule check. Because I definitely relied on that. So the design rules check kept picking up this thing called... it's like a perimeter thing. I can't remember what it is. Basically, when you design your own footprint, you have to put an extra... So it's like a keep out area kind of thing on there, but I mean, it does nothing in reality in KiCad, but, and in fact, loads of people said, just ignore the error, but I wanted to fix it. So I went and fixed it. And so I definitely used it every time I exported it, but maybe I messed it up and forgot to redo the rule check. Oh, it was a reference to the joke. Sorry, Dave, I can't do that. I see. You don't need to concentrate on my stream. We're going to be done in like 20 minutes if people don't have many questions. So one thing I don't like about this, let me see if I can get it out of this. Oh, Jesus, I can't. Okay, one thing I don't like about it is the color of the LEDs. Now, they are amber, sort of, but they still look kind of red. So courtyard error, that's it, Paul. The courtyard error, which means nothing at all. Like it's not, there's no point to it. Every board house will accept it without that thing. But in KiCad, it comes up. So I had to sort it out. So they're kind of an amber color, and I'm fine with it, but they were meant to be, they were described as orange. That's not orange to me. That's kind of like a lame red. So I would like a yellow color. So I'm going to see if I can find the same ones, but in yellow, but they were very, very expensive. And yellow LEDs are going to be a higher current draw anyway, to make them look as bright, I think. So same with blue, I think. I think they're quite high current draw. So that's one thing I don't like about it. The other thing, oh, and we could probably do this on stream so that we actually get to do some soldering. How's that? Is I think I need to enable the decimal point here. I think it might be a good idea to do that. So I think, yeah, let's screw it. Let's do it. Let me just grab a resistor. I think they were 470 ohm, weren't they? Yeah, screw it. Okay, should we do it while it's on? Why not? So decimal point is there, so it's that display. Right, which one? That one, okay. I wouldn't advise doing anything like this while it's on, but we're doing it anyway. It's very dark, isn't it? Let me just turn the light on so you can see. Now we're going to need some solder. Oh, we're not doing RGB. This is a CMOS clock. Yeah, it looks really cool, doesn't it? So we need a little bit of... Oh, are you going to be able to... I've got really sweaty fingers because I'm kind of nervous about this stream. A little bit of solder on there. And... oh. And a little bit there as well. This isn't going to be clean, but we'll just do it anyway. I think it's this one. I hope so. Oh, I can't quite reach that. It's leaving horrendous skid marks on my board there. We'll go on the side of this capacitor. There we go, that should be it. Hopefully, if I've remembered the footprint correctly. There we go. That looks all right. I think it probably does look better, which means we could get rid of the silk screen, which would be good. So yeah, we wouldn't need that one. I'm going to keep the silk screen here and here because I think it looks better. I'm not going to stick LEDs on. What do you guys think? Do you think it needs that? Oh no! See, there's a problem. Display on off. Won't turn off. I'd need to stick a little transistor in there. Display on and off won't do anything for the decimal point. Julian says, I find the fractions of a second a bit distracting. That was the whole point for doing it, Julian. It's Julian telling me that he doesn't like the whole project. The whole idea was to push the clock a little bit and get myself a 1 kilohertz frequency out of a clock, throw it into some CMOS. They're flying by the seat of their pants at the moment because basically that's like a quite high frequency on the 4060. It's that little one I chose at 5 volts anyway. Dave says, can it go backwards? No, it can't be a countdown timer, unfortunately. Lassie says, you can SMD LEDs that light through the board. Yeah, I've done a few of those things and I kind of like it, but I don't like the way it appears on the front of the board very much. And so I want it to look super clean. And I did like the silk screen, but it's kind of, yeah, because you can see the decimal point. Maybe if I coloured over one of the decimal points and then I could leave that there. In fact, I could just Sharpie over all of the decimal points and not see them at all, because you can sort of see them that they would be there. Maybe that's a good idea. Or black tape. People swear by putting black electrical tape over the displays. Oh, BitLooney's in the colon LEDs camp. Yeah, I'm really not. I don't like it, really. That crack clock over there was one of those. But yeah, I just didn't really like it. It's flashing all the time. But I suppose I've got the milliseconds pinging away on there as well. Is the decimal a nicer orange than the rest of your eye? What? Than the rest of your eyes? Is it? Or is it to mine? Yeah, it probably is a nicer orange because it's using a 470 ohm resistor. All of the rest are 470 ohm resistors, but these 4026s sort of self-regulate a bit, so it's probably lower. If I bring it back to there, you'll see that this digit here is actually slightly nicer than this one, and this will be because of differences in just the ICs. That's all, because that decimal point is a lot brighter, but it's exactly the same colour. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, colons can blink at 1 kilohertz. You want steady colons? Well, we could do that, I guess. SDG says reverse mount LEDs with some UV glue to diffuse it. Do you know what? Someone, I don't remember who made it. It was the crap badge. not the crap badge, the don't panic badge, and someone put LEDs in there and diffused it with glue. Who did that? It was really good. It looked much nicer than my effort, which was just side mounting. Andy says, can you connect the LED to the on and off line? Yeah, I probably could. I'm not sure what the drive capability is, but I could put a transistor on it easily enough. So yeah, I could add it on. It's just an extra component. But something like a 2N3904 would do it fine. Do you know, I've got to be honest with you. You know when I said that I Googled Googled what an open collector is? I asked James Sharman. He's recently released a video, by the way, about his homebrew CPU. You should go and check it out. It's super interesting. And I was like, James, what's an open collector mean? And he was like, I don't know. I started doing electronics after you. I was like, oh God. Okay. He still knows more than me though. So sometimes I feel like I'm like proper behind on all this stuff. Especially when you all in the chat are like, there's an open collector, or, you know, you need to look at your reset line, or you've not connected ground. It's like kind of embarrassing. Never mind. Johnny says, can you calibrate it so it's not drifting? Well, it's probably more accurate than most clocks in your house, I would imagine. It will have some inaccuracies. I think the thing's rated for like 10 parts per million, is it? Or whatever, like 10 incorrect pulses per million. Pulses per million, not parts per million. In like a normal temperature range. So, but that's plus or minus. So you've got, it could all be pluses, but some will be minuses. So they sort of average out a bit. But you get the same from like a wristwatch or whatever. So the only ones you get that are super accurate are the ones that keep updating on internet time or something. So it's actually going to be fairly accurate. Just like that binary clock was very accurate. So I don't think I really need to worry about the accuracy too much. Alex says the don't panic with glue was Arturo. I should have remembered that. I speak to Arturo quite a bit. Johnny, that's very kind. Thank you for the new LEDs fund. Well, that was £4.50 for this board. So, God, I really like this stand. This is a Buntech or Burntech stand. Yeah, it was £4.50 for all of these on here. And I'm disappointed that they're so red, really. So the ICs on the back, like all of this is salvageable if I want to take it apart. The ICs on the back, each one of those is about 40 pence or something. So it came to about £3.50 for everything. So yeah, it's expensive. And the boards themselves were £30 for 10. So again, it's like loads of, was it 10 or was it only 5? I can't remember now. I thought I did 10. Adam says, what's an open collector? I'm not going through that. Lassie's in the chat though. He knows all about it. I just looked at some diagrams and was like, that's what's happening. I need to block that off. I need it to be one way only. So essentially, all I need it to do is only ever provide a positive signal, not a negative one. Adam says he's still getting to grips with not having floating pins. Yeah, CMOS can really screw you up like that if you have floating inputs, but most other things don't really mind mostly. Julian collects all sorts of things. I bet you do. Julian, I said it before, if you want one of these and you want to try and recreate all the bodges, you can have it. I'll send you the board. You will have to find the parts yourself, but I'll send you which ones they are. Yeah, your $20 was too little, but it's okay. I'm going to get new LEDs anyway. I really want yellow. I think yellow are going to look great. What was the other thing I wanted to ask? Well, about the internet connected thing. So do you think I should make it so someone can connect a microcontroller to it? I might have missed that in the chat if someone said so. Do you think that would be a worthwhile addition to have the ability to set the clock automatically? Because essentially it's not just a clock, it's a stopwatch. So the idea is that you can reset it very easily and start and stop. So I wanted it to have that ability. There's no point going down to like the milliseconds if you're not going to use them, right? So you wouldn't use them in real life. In fact, most of the time you're not going to use seconds in real life. But if you wanted to time something, just for a laugh, it's not like you'd need something to physically trigger it when it started and it stopped. But I don't know whether you can do that. But if you wanted to time something fairly inaccurately, like some running race or whatever, then you can press start and stop on the thing. So the idea is that it is a stopwatch as well as a clock. But I could expose the pins so that you could set it manually. Use the same stand without the bars and feet. Without the feet bars. So if you just cut them off and drilled it to something. Yeah, I do like this thing. I think I got it a few years ago. I don't use it too much because sometimes it's a bit too close to my camera. So getting the soldering iron in there is really hard. 10k resistor from clock input to your ground will start at 0. Yeah, it might do. Not all my clocks are connected though. So because it's cascaded in a weird roundabout way through loads of diodes and different ICs, not everything starts at 0, but I'm kind of okay with it not being like that. Yeah, so so I can add the connections and then people can decide if they want to hack it. The idea is that I mean, I kind of love it, but at the same time, I worry that people will not give a crap about the fact that it's just CMOS logic. And this is the kind of thing that people don't do anymore. And also it's difficult to find documentation for stuff. So I Googled, because I wanted to know how other people had done it, how to make a clock with milliseconds with CMOS logic. I couldn't find anything. Honestly, I looked around and could not find anything. I found some documentation on how to make a 1 kilohertz clock signal, like a source, but not how to turn it into an actual clock. And that could easily be a reflection of, at the time, it was common knowledge how to do that, but no one bloody put it on the internet. But yeah, so basically I like rediscovering this stuff that has not got a place on the internet at the moment. But I would like to make it available for people to mess around with and do stuff. Tramp stamp, bit loony. You're a monster. Make it from UVB LEDs. Why is this clocking at exactly 50 Hertz? What? Is that to do with old mains clocks and CMOS? Because that's definitely going, it's not clocking at 50 Hertz. It should be 100 Hertz. Oh God, Embedded Hobbyist says, take off all the logic chips and connect it to a microcontroller. Straight through the heart there, buddy. Is it there? I don't know where it is. but it's way more expensive than a microcontroller. You could get something for pennies that will drive this. A Max 232, is it? 7232? Something like that would drive this. Heck, you could even multiplex it, so you could just have like eight columns and one row and ping it down. You could easily do it. Tens of milliseconds. I have no idea. Look, let's not get... Millisecond was invented after TTL logic was introduced. Fair enough. I'm not going to call it anything. I'm just going to call it the stopwatch clock. Stop clock. I don't know what I'm going to call it, actually. Sunbright SLR. I'll look at that. Thanks, SDG. SDG, I don't actually know your name. Should we try and guess? Is it Simon or Steve? Samuel? I don't know. Basically, I'm asking what your name is so I can say thank you properly. Paul says the next step to make it for discrete transistors. No, I'll pass on that. I did think about that for the binary coded decimal clock. I thought that would actually be achievable, but this probably not so achievable. Today's beer, Farhan, is just a plain old Heineken that I had left over in the fridge from a couple of weeks ago. It's a can, so I didn't want to drink it on stream because it looks a little uncouth. So that's why I bought those big bottles of beer instead. But it's all that's left in the house, so that's what I'm drinking. And it's a celebration, really. Johnny says, but it needs PWM control for the brightness. Dare I mention a 555? We could do PWM control for the brightness. That would be entirely possible. Those are common cathode displays, so you could hook them up on the output to a selectable frequency for like a MOSFET or something. Since we've got a 4 megahertz crystal pinging away, the 4060 actually has loads and loads of different frequencies on it. So I think there's like 250 hertz. There's some kilohertz ones. Actually, you could do it. Oh, it is Steve. Very obvious says, I spent years on logic. Now I take the easy way. Fair enough. I'm still playing around with it. I love it. It's great. Not having to program it is so good, but troubleshooting when you've messed it up is not so good. But you get that with all of that stuff, really. Ethan. We know your name's Ethan. Just call it crap clock and keep the naming conventions you're already using. Well, this one's particularly crap, but this isn't one that I think is crap. I think it's actually all right. So I could call it the not crap clock. Oh, I just thought I could call it the clock and in capitals stopwatch because it's got an and gate in there that does stuff. What do you think to that? Does that sound all right? Clock and stopwatch. Or clock and stop. I don't know. So you've actually stuck with me for a very long time. Like we've done three or four streams on this and they were hours long. And it's been incredibly helpful. So I'm going to share something with you from my... Let's see if I can find it. I'm just going to mute the computer so it doesn't play out. I'm going to share with you my victory song. I'm not even kidding. I've literally got one. I've sort of stopped looking at the thing. Oh, there's some names coming in. Oh my God, this is great. Oh yeah, you should all have a look at SDG's clock. It's great. SDG and Julian are in like a competition on JLC together, and I think SDG is doing really well. Julian is too, so you can go and check out both their projects. I think you're allowed to vote for more than one person, so do have a look. But this is what I'm going to leave you with, because we're going to shut down, because Brian's got a stream in 7 minutes time. I think it'd be really nice if you all went and joined him. Copy link address, but this song is only 5 minutes and 30 seconds long, and it is what I got up and danced around to in my nerd workshop area. So I'm popping it in the chat. I'm going to call it Victory Song, but it's not. Excuse me. So that is my victory song, and is it? Or is that Brian's stream? I think that might be Brian's stream. No, it's not. That's not Brian's stream. That is Murta, You and Me, I think is how you would say it. And then copy link address. So, yeah, honestly, quite honestly, before I post Brian's link in the chat so that you can all go over there if you want to, if you've got the time, I'd highly recommend it. He's a lovely chap, very entertaining if you haven't heard of him. He's Irish, and that's always charming, right? And he's also cleverer than me, so that should be a bonus. Honestly, thank you very much for joining me on this odyssey. I appreciate it. And like all the supportive comments and even super chats, which is totally unexpected and not required of it. If I do any more with this, I will post some short videos. If we end up doing something completely nuts with it, then I'll do another live stream. But I think the next thing you'll see from me is that project with Blitz City DIY, Liz, the beat matching metronome thing. I don't know what it's going into, but this is it. This is, oh, I've got to reach it. This is it here. This is what I've been working on. So hopefully that's all going to work out. But I sort of ditched it for this for a while. All right. Here is Brian's stream, everyone. He's live in 4 minutes. You've probably got enough time to watch that music if you want. And, well, you're all great. Thank you very much. I almost got proper emotional when this thing started working. Okay. I'm going to go now. So thank you again, everyone. I've kind of loved it and hated it and loved it and hated it and then loved it again. So, all right. Bye, everyone.